Hey guys, and welcome to a budget build for the AK-74M. This can be applied to all of the AK-74 series if you just change one thing that I'm going to show you. So to start off, this entire build is going to be based off Prepper Tier 3 for the AK-74M. For 37k, as you're thinking to yourself, this is meant to be a budget build, why am I going to spend 37k on a gun? If you head over to the flea market, because the flea market is the answer to all of our issues, you can get yourself an AK-74M for around about the 22k mark here. I did actually get that one for 20k. As you can see, this gun is fully ready to go. For 22k to get a gun like this full auto ready to go is pretty decent. So to start off, we're going to head over to Prepper Tier 1. We're going to need to get ourselves a sight. It is a dovetail mount. So we're going to get ourselves the Cobra EKP-8. You can whack this straight on as it is. It does have -1 recoil, which is pretty decent for the recoil control. Then we're going to get ourselves the Polymer AK-100 series foregrip. As you can see, it does have a grip as well as a mount for a light that you could find in a raid possibly. Next, we're going to get ourselves the rubber butt pad that you get for 3k. Now this, if you're not going to be running the AK-74M and you might be running the AK-74 or the N, you might be wanting to put this on your gun, but this is just showing you the possibilities for the other AK-74 series. Now we're going to head over to Skier. We're going to go to Tier 2. We're going to get ourselves the Zenit DTK muzzlebrake. You don't actually need this for this gun so much. It does have -5 recoil already. This does do -7, but it only costs 4k. Next, we need to put a grip on our polymer handguard. We're going to go down to the Zenit RK1 foregrip. It does cost 12k. If you are a bit more strapped for cash, you can get yourself the Tango Down Stubby. It does have -1% recoil, so it will help out a little bit. And for 4k, that's pretty decent. Next, we're going to get ourselves the AK-74/AK-100 series. This is where we're variant. So now because we're running an AK-100 series, we are going to be getting this, as well as the Zenit PT-1 stock as well. This is everything you need for this build. If you are running a AK-74N or something that doesn't have a foldable stock, then I'll show you what you would do. Here you go. So this looks pretty decent. We are down to 74 recoil, which is quite good. So if you're running a AK-74 that doesn't have a foldable stock, you will just whack this rubber butt pad straight on. So we're down to 67 recoil. But as we do have a foldable stock, let's take that off, whack on this PT-1. And as you can see now, we are down to 64 recoil and 55 ergonomics, which is actually pretty decent for a standard gun. Like I said, you might need to get that muzzle. If you can't afford it, then don't get it. It is just a -2 in recoil, and like before with our last ADAR build, everything is modular. So I wouldn't buy this straight up if I'm going into raids. I would buy this over time, so I'll show you what I would do. So with these kind of builds, you're always going to need to get a sight, so I'm just going to leave the sight on there for now. Let's just take off everything. Okay, so I've just bought this gun and I want to take it into my first raid. The first thing I would buy, okay, is the AK polymer with the grip. Only because it lowers your recoil such a huge amount. So let's say I survive that raid and now I'm like, okay, now I want to upgrade it again. I would actually go for the buttstock next. Because it's such a great improvement with that buttstock, it's almost 10 recoil. This would be my next bet. So now I've done 2 raids, survived, and this thing is starting to really hold its own. By now I should have killed a gear guy, so I might be using his gun, but if not and you still want to use this, then I would trade it up and go with a muzzle brake. So now this is basically the best my build is going to get. I don't want to do this anymore because it is a budget loadout. Obviously you can go OTT and get yourself next level and upgrading, but that's how I run my budget loadouts. I go from one raid to the next, upgrading each bit individually. So I basically 3 segments to all of my budget builds: the grip, the stock, and then the muzzle brake. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. I am about to going to take this to the range so you can see what the recoil is like. Let's quickly pop into the range. Before we head out to the hideout, I do want to quickly talk about what bullets you should be using. Now, with this kind of build, it is low budget, but the bullets make the gun. If you want to kill people with a low budget gun, you could be running a stock AK-74, even an AKS-74U, right? It is down to what bullets you use. The bullets make the gun. You could be running the best AK-74 build, but you could be using US or SP or HP, something like that, ammunition, and you will be doing 0 damage to the people. Or you could be running the best ammo, which in my opinion, well, not in my, it's the best ammo, which is 7 and 39. They do cost 649 rubles, around about the 600, the high 600s, low 700s per bullet. I would recommend, if you run this, if you're going to be running thick boy maps, which is reserve, shoreline, interchange, and labs. I wouldn't recommend if you use your gun on full auto though. With these, you will be literally throwing away ammo. When you go full auto and you spray, sometimes the recoils can be a bit hectic and you miss. And yeah, you wouldn't want to be throwing away ammunition, basically. You'd be throwing away so much money with this. If you're going to be running those maps, buy this. Next, it does have 62 penetration and 37 flesh, which is pretty decent. Next would be BS for 550 rubles to 600. It doesn't really go up to 600, but this is a pretty decent second rounder. It does have 50 penetration and 40 flesh. This will penetrate just level 6 armor. 7 and 39 will penetrate level 6 armor without an issue. This is a pretty decent bullet. This used to be the best bullet before they brought in the 7 and 39. For 550 rubles, I would again say use single shot. I wouldn't full auto. It'll be a bit mental if you went full auto. Next one down would be BT. This would be the one I would recommend that you buy. Yeah, they are tracers, so if you're shooting it at night, expect everyone to see where you're shooting from. But this does have 33 penetration. It is quite a big drop from the last one, but it does do 44 flesh. Now that's pretty decent, and it's not that cheap. Well, sorry, it is cheap for 288 rubles per bullet, up to 300. I would actually start going full autoing on this situation. I wouldn't take this on proper thick boy runs. Let's say like shoreline, if you head into resort to loot the LEDXs, reserve or labs. I wouldn't run this. I would run BS and 7 and 39. But for any other map, I would run this. It does do 44 flesh, which is pretty decent. I think that's a 1 tap to the chest, possibly, if they don't have anything. It does penetrate all the way up to level 5 armor, just. You would have to pump him a few shots. But it's okay. It's pretty decent in the sense of bullet-wise. And then finally would be BP. This does have 32 penetration and 42 flesh, so all round it's worse than the BT, but it is a lot cheaper. You can get it for basically high-end 190 rubles here. That seems to be kind of like roundabout where it's sitting at. I would actually recommend, if you run this, if you're running, I wouldn't recommend running this on a thick boy maps though. So shoreline, if you go into resort, that is, reserve or labs. Interchange, you kind of have a really range. You might have a chance of meeting really thick people, or really, you know, just hatchlings running stuff. It's very hit or miss when you run into people with that one. But BP can definitely make you hold your own. And yes, run this on full auto. Definitely with BP, it's cheap enough where you can throw away a few bullets, you know, missing and stuff. So hopefully that was a bit more of a insight into what bullets you should use. I wouldn't recommend any bullets underneath that. PP, PST, FMJ, US, PRS, HP or SP. We're too far into wipe to have bullets that do lower than 30 penetration. Alright, let's go head over to the range. Okay, so we're inside the range. Let's load up a magazine. So we'll do standing recoil to start off with. I can never see this sight properly. There you go. So from the chest, it kicks straight up to his head, which is actually pretty decent. That's kind of what you want. Kind of a lucky headshot, which isn't so bad. Then next, crouched. And again, chest shot straight to his head. So basically instant headshot. So guys, this is something that you'd actually want to tap, in my opinion. You'd always, in my opinion, tapping is better for your recoil control as well as ammo conserving. So obviously at range, this is pretty decent. So guys, hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully this gun will bring you some joy when you're running low on cash. As you can see, it was all through low level traders as well. The highest was level 15 with Skier tier 2. So guys, hopefully you found this guide useful, and I'll see you in the next video.